There's no such thing as uncharted territory. You're never alone as long as you're looking for support in the right places. Find out more coming up next. As we go through life, we often find ourselves in places that feel like uncharted territory. Spaces for which we don't have a map, that we don't fully comprehend how to navigate. And it can feel lonely, it can feel isolating, it can feel scary. And so a lot of times in those moments, when we feel alone, when we feel like we're approaching things that we don't understand and aren't sure how to navigate, we have a couple of choices. A lot of times we try to look to our friends. We try to look to the social supports around us. And that's a good thing to do. It's good to have people around us that have experience, that are willing to provide a kind and non-judgmental ear to us, maybe give us consultation or advice. But the reality is sometimes we don't have the people in our lives that have experience with what we're dealing with. And so what do? How do we approach that? And there's a great story from a long time ago, a couple thousand years ago, with the Stoic philosopher Zeno. And when he was a young man, he wasn't sure of his direction in life. He wasn't sure where to go, what to do, what his future would hold. So he stopped at the Oracle of Delphi to get some sort of insight into his life. And so he did what he needed to do to get in front of the Oracle. And here's the advice he got. You will become wise when you get to know and spend time with the dead. Okay, that doesn't sound super clear or super helpful, does it? At least it doesn't to me. Well, so he kind of walked away with, I don't know what to do with this. What do you mean? Get to know the dead, spend time with the dead. How is that going to make me wise? Well, sometime down the road, he's on a ship and the ship wrecks, right? It sinks. And he finds himself, I believe, on the shores of Athens and starts exploring the city. He doesn't really have a job, doesn't have a name there. And so he wanders into a bookstore. And yes, they had bookstores 2,000 years ago. They didn't quite look like they do now for sure, but there were bookstores. And came across the bookstore owner, shopkeeper, who was reading through scrolls about, from Plato, talking about Socrates, and all of these. There are all these scrolls and writings in there from people who were long since dead, but with really great insights into what it means to be a human, how to live our lives with alignment with values and virtue. And in that moment, it clicked for Zeno. Like, oh, that's how I become wise, spending time with dead people. I read. I dive into this huge treasure trove, historical treasure trove of human experience. And that gives me insight into how to live my life today, how to navigate things that feel like uncharted territory. And what's so fascinating about it is the reality is that for probably 99.9% of the things that we're going through in life, people in our past have gone through that. Some really beautiful, brilliant, insightful people who have gone through profound challenges and really spent time trying to study and understand the human condition, have taken the time to write their thoughts and their insights and their recommendations down. And so when we find ourselves in moments during life that feel scary and big and unknown, for which we don't have experience or we don't have a mental map with which to navigate them, we're never alone. We can always look back to these great minds who have thought through much of what we're experiencing. Because even though culture has shifted, even though technology has shifted, what really hasn't changed, and what you really get insight to when you start reading these ancient philosophers or even more modern philosophers who have passed away but have left this treasure trove of information, is that the human fundamentally hasn't changed. The way we think about, the way we engage with the world around us has not changed much at all. We still struggle with the same emotions. We still struggle with the same kind of faulty patterns of thought or misperceptions of the world around us. So always remember, there's truly no such thing as uncharted territory. You're never alone in your struggles. And if you just take some time to call on your alive resources, your local resources, your friends, your family, your colleagues, you could have support there. But even when your situation is so unique and so particularly challenging that maybe you don't have a good consultation network for that, you've got this long historical chain of great thinkers who wrote their ideas, their thoughts, their passions, their values on how to live life effectively, how to deal with these challenges that we face as humans that are common to us as humans. You can always call on them and understand that in that history is a map that can help you navigate the things ahead of you. You're never alone, and you always have the support of some of the greatest minds in the world at your fingertips. If you found today's content helpful, please take a moment, hit that like button. If you know anyone else who's dealing with what feels like uncharted territory and needs to hear this message, share it with them. And if you haven't taken a moment to subscribe yet, please take a moment, reach out and touch that subscribe button before you go anywhere else. And until next time, please be well.